get on to the Titans because we're going to spend some time there, I would imagine.
Well,
Get to it. So the Titans,
see,
14.
here's the thing. I feel like I moaned and bitched and was depressed
Actually,
about him
I
throughout
actually
the
think
season.
we do need to spend time here because this was the underperformer of the season.
I agree, and I think that's been pretty much unanimous, everything I've seen in terms of where people had them. I had them 9th, so I still had them missing the top 8, although I said they could finish. I remember saying they could finish anywhere between 7th and 10th, and they end up finishing 13th, although based off of the season, 13th ended up being a good finish for them because they were in a wooden spoon battle with the Tigers for half the year, and they were coming last for half of that. So in that context, it's actually been a really good season. If only the Bulldogs had lost to Manly and they somehow would have finished outside of the bottom 4, that would have been hilarious. But look, a good end to the season, but it's similar to what happened in 2020 and 21 as well. The Titans just seem to have string a few wins together right at the end when it's too late, bar 2021 when it actually meant something and they made the finals, but it was too little too late. There are certain players. I thought Mo Fodawaker was still good, just not that same level as in past seasons. Tino was a clear standout. Other than that, Bo Firma and Brimson was at least putting in that consistent effort each week. I feel like he was hampered at times by the chopping and changing and sort of who he was playing in and around with.
I thought he definitely overperformed. I thought he was fantastic when he was good, AJ Brimson.
Yeah.
Well, I think I said as well, whenever the Titans actually won a game, while he wasn't their best player all year, when they won a game, he was the man of the match. It was when he sort of took control and just absolutely dominated a game himself, and that's when the Titans were winning.
So...
Well, he was playing fullback, and then he was playing
in the
5'8",
halves,
and then he was injured.
So, Brian, your quick thoughts on the Titans, and then I'll get both of your thoughts on what Holbrook's actually bringing to the table here.
The biggest problem with the Titans was their inconsistency out of their forward pack. There was 3 blokes there in your Fermor, Tino that were good, or 2 blokes that were good every week, and the rest of them barely existed, and they were below par majority of the time that they were on the field, realistically. Their halves didn't stand up. Sexton, who we thought would be decent, ended up getting punted out of the team altogether and definitely underperformed for them.
Future man of steel. Like, England's his hope now. Like,
I feel like...
Newcastle might take him.
No, if he had a halfback with him, maybe, I don't know, Jamal Fogarty or someone.
And this is the problem with the comp is that there's not...
I thought Aaron Clark was really good.
Yeah, once he made that
I like the part he just burrows through my bullshit.
I thought Aaron Clark was definitely a standout and an overperformer in this team. They need a hooker, and I don't think Aaron Clark's the answer. Obviously, you've got old mate coming up there next year, which is who's old mate? Verrills, that's him, Sam Verrills, who will provide some really good ball distribution out of dummy half. But, they need some depth in their forward pack, especially coming off the bench, because once their bench forwards came off, they were a completely different team. And, they need some wingers and centres in this team. Yeah. They were the worst defensive team in the centres and wings week in, week out.
Yeah.
And that's not changed over the past 3 years or so.
Their edges are disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And has been the case all the way through. Ironically, though, Greg Marzu, 3rd in the whole comp for line breaks.
Yeah.
Tackle bust, sorry.
And we were wondering why the hell he got taken out of the team there for 5 or 6 weeks or whatever it was.
Well, it was similar with Jaden Campbell as well, because I know he was injured for a bit there, but when he came back, they kept him in reserve grade for like a solid 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I just, as one of the players they were backing and like moved players around to accommodate, and he was great when he played. Maybe he was a bit of an overperformer with our little comparative game.
The coach is a super potato. The bloke is fucking got no idea what he's doing. He is now my new Trent Barrett, and I will be backing him to be the first one sacked next year.
And he'll get sacked, and this team will start putting 30 points on play because they'll take the shackles off AJ. They do need a half, which they're sort of got now. They're going to back Tanner Boyd, it looks like. And you get Campbell. And
where does Campbell play, though? Because Brimson's got to be the fullback if Tanner Boyd and Kieran Foran are going to be your halves.
Well, this is a question.
It'll be AJ and Foran.
And Verrill's given him a nice service. And Boyd adding some starch to the middle. Aaron Clark on the bench is fine. It's okay. But I look at this and I go,
Campbell can't play anywhere else unless you play him at 6.
That's true.
It's either 6 or 1.
You can't defend the front
Probably
line. You can play him in the front line. And
His old
defend him
man
back.
was a speed bump for his entire career.
Yeah,
so
maybe just deal with it. Maybe okay, that is what it is, and that could be exciting. You talk about Lockie Millers of the world. Maybe it's exciting, but there needs to be some cohesion with those two. And if there needs to be a come to Jesus meeting here, and they go, okay, we're going to back one or both of you. If we're backing both of you, we're going to accept you're going to get run over in the front line. And we're going to play the double, maybe play like some teams are starting to do, East even starting to do it, have the double 5-8 sort of thing going on. Verrills' service will be much better, and Foran crawling the shots. But Foran is a running half as well, so
and he's gone.
and
But it's his
he was
last
very-
year of his career.
but this was
he
a-
won't
yeah,
play
yeah.
anymore
But
than
this was
one
a
more
very
year,
good-
you wouldn't imagine.
and he's going to, but good on him getting a nice retirement and 750 out of him, whatever. But there's not a kicking game, is there?
No.
That's the thing between all three, and even Tanner Boyd is okay. Concerns, but
Campbell
they should
puts
be
up
better.
a decent bomb.
So,
but
so to bring that all back to Holbrook, how you did not look at this team at the start of the year like we all did. I think we all tipped him to make the 8.
I had him
Ninth.
10th.
I tipped him to make, I think I've had him 8th.
Yeah.
How you did not look at this team and go, right, we're going to start Mo and Liu, and then have Fafita and Tina at lock, and just go, right, we're just going to bulldoze
Bo
teams.
in the s-
And
second
from
row.
like, how you just did not do that, I don't know. How they had them off the field at different times. You play to your strength, and that should have been where they played. They didn't. I think. Then they showed last week there's points in them, but I think. The concern is I think Holbrook's can do enough to keep his job for a little bit longer, but but he's next on the table, so maybe not. I don't know how they.
Him or Adams going first.
Yeah.
Newcastle or Titans, I would imagine, be the first
so
coach.
big,
that'll
big
go.
6 weeks for the start of the year. Mo was underwhelming. Talk about underwhelmers. I think he was. Off the back of last year, we literally opened this show with a song about the bloke, and had the Daggy M's are half named after him at some point. But isn't he fallen off a cliff? Not necessarily through his own fault, because the back end of the year is good again. But
And Sexton
the
was
World
the
Cup
biggest
brings.
one. I honestly thought he would stamp himself as a regular first grade halfback. By the time we're talking now, I didn't expect him to be in the top 6 or 7, but I expected him to be one of the better average halfbacks running around. And I don't know if he lost confidence in himself, whether the coach brought that on him as well. There were some games where his kicking game was immaculate, and there was a lot of games where his kicking game was horrible. His running game was pretty much non-existent most of the
But
time
even
when he
his,
was there. So
confidence shines through in your goal kicking. He went from a 90% kicker to not.
and
Then again, he
out of
played
the
like
side,
6 games. last
Maybe
year.
there needs to be a trade with the UK and just send him over there to get 6 foot tall and bulletproof, and get Brodie Croft back for a year.
Well, maybe after making the top 8 last year, the Titans coaching staff there, instead of, I don't know, picking and changing the team and releasing players that you need, etc., should have gone, oh, maybe we should actually build on this instead of, like, let's see this as a reset and go from there. Well, a mini reset, because...
Well, now they've got a
Yeah.
major reset on their hands
Yeah,
now. So.
yeah, because of it. But it's just...
All right, the elephant in the room, David Fafita. What do you bring to the table this year?
Good
Ollie?
towards the back end of the year. Better than last year, I think.
Well, he was sort of different because it wasn't as much barging over the top of people and making 50 metres in a single run, and more defence, I think. So he ended up being a fine player, of course, obviously not up to scratch based off of his price tag, but wasn't a flop or anything during that second half of the season. He was okay. Still not the best forward for the Titans in a single game any week, I don't think. But, 2023, he's now playing
You
for a
talk about balance.
contract.
He'll be a freak next year. He'll be amazing. You talk about balance, like you said, he was fine most weeks, but last year he had the blowaway games, and he didn't have the South game.
He had 1 or 2 this year, I think, but there wasn't many.
He still gets his somehow 40 points a run and that sort of thing, but I didn't.
But
ever
towards the
feel like
back
it
end
was
of the
scary.
year, he started to put his nose to the grindstone a little bit, and he was making 30 tackles most games, towards the back end of the year, which is what you need your $1 million second rower to do. And then he also has to do that attacking stuff on the top of it. Bo Firma was their standout. I thought he was their best player, apart from Tino, for the majority of the season. Tino is Tino. I don't think it matters what team you put him in, what the structure you put around him. I think he's going to give you that performance week in and week out. And
Tino was actually, I think you underplayed. Tino was incredible. The games that he was on massive meters, tried his ass off, cried in press conference. You can see it means something.
And even when he wasn't on, he was as good as 70% of the competition.
Yeah.
Like he was still.
He's someone, and he really.
No.
We'll get to the end of the list and actually have a chat about that. But he was actually phenomenal at times this year in a lone hand.
And Bo more to me, even looks like someone that could play that 6 role or the 13 role. A little bit of kicking, a little bit of ball playing. There's a little bit something extra about him. The way he moves, the way he does have a short pass. He's got a short kick as well, and he could be shoehorned into a 13 or a 6 and create a bit of creative spark that some of the players around him don't have.
I've always thought that in terms of those sort of back rowers, and actually I'd have thought, who was I thinking? We might get to him soon.
When Wade Graham was good.
Yeah,
6
but
years
like
ago.
you have those players that you can actually put back into the. If you don't have a creative half, put a back
big
row
body in the back row,
that
and
just
then
hurt people and maybe can bust. Felitti Matteo type. I was thinking for some reason I was thinking about fucking Felitti the other day, comparing him to a bit to some of the 5'8s in the college. Actually, I was
he
thinking
had
about
some tremendous skill.
I was
You're
actually
probably
thinking about it in
Schuster.
terms of but I was thinking about in terms of the Sharks, and leading into what sort of 5'8 they could use. And I think I was thinking in that term because I was like, I don't want to talk about Dewey again,
absolutely
but like a
worked.
Felitti, an offload, a tall big bloke that can play back row, but. You just want something that's going to create something out of nowhere, and you have a little bloke sniff around, which admittedly the Sharks don't really have. But maybe that could work with Bo. But Bo's going, isn't he?
Bo?
No,
No, he's
Bo's still
re-signed.
on signs.
2026.
Sorry, let me have a look here. Let's update this.
But to me, I think he'd probably be a really good 13. He could play on both sides of the footy. He's got decent footwork, decent speed. He can bump a player off. He's got a good short ball and a decent grubber as well. So, but
He's great. He actually calls points through his grubbers, actually. Azarko going Masters. No, you're not missing anyone there. Jared Wallace going to the Dolphins. Verrills and Foreign, very good ins. Ollie, what hope have you got for next year?
I think the ceiling is probably 11th, if we're being honest. I would expect a 12th or 13th. And I'd say probably their ceiling at the bottom is probably 14th, though, just because, thank God, the Warriors and Knights exist.
there's a lot of ifs and buts about it. And you want to see their lineup that they put out for the first round of next year, but I can't see them doing much apart from what they've done this year.
I don't see...
Well, they lost. Wolf was the one in the radar, wasn't he? And now he's going to Dolphins.
I don't think for the Titans...
No, he was
Warriors,
talked about.
Warriors,
I thought
was
he
a
was
fair
talked
bit.
about the Titans, and then Dolphins snapping him up to basically have the Benji role.
No, because
Anyway, enough of this rubbish.